In the last video, I tried to show you how to make this into a normal map, and I utterly failed. So what we're going to do is, instead of going into image mode, it's edit fill. Sorry, I was in the wrong drop-down menu. Anyways, you're going to go to edit fill. You're going to change this contents to color. We want to make sure preserve transparency is on, so it keeps that alpha channel. And we can just keep that in normal mode and it'll hit OK. You should have an option there to change those. Let's see if we can do that again. Let's do edit fill, and you should be able to get this where you select your color. Let's go to color. All right. So if it doesn't, it'll automatically go to whatever default color you had before. All right, and for this color, you want to make sure this is 128, and I'm just going to show you because it won't be setting at this color by default. It's remembering from last time I did this. All right, 255, 128, and 255. This is in the RGB mode, not HSB, but the RGB channel. We're going to hit OK. So we have got the color, normal, 100, and again, preserve that transparency. We hit OK. And go ahead and, like I said, save these out. I already have done this, and when you save this out, I will show you how to do that really quickly. Make sure you have everything turned off, and then you will save as. We'll kind of go through the first one, decal images, and then group. And you can see how I did this separately. Make sure it is on a format Photoshop, PSD. So we go decal, base, height, metal, normal, and roughness. All right, so make sure you go through that and save it into a subfolder. Make sure you know where that is. Try to put that on your desktop, and make sure you also call it a decal, so it's different. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Again, you can have multiple decals. I don't want you just to have 4, but think of some cool ones that you can put on there to rough it up. Again, we want a pretty exciting dumpster. We don't want a boring one just with rust on it. All right, so I'm going to jump into substance, and you can see where we did a decal, and not a decal, a stencil. I get those mixed up, and you're like, well, where is all my layers to my dumpster? And so I'm going to pull this down, and we're going to select that dumpster base, and it is there. All right, so again, shift and right click will get your lighting to a different scene, and again, alt and shift will snap it to the front. So we want this as flat as possible if you want. And we're going to do a roll over here and add a paint layer. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click on that. And I don't know why it's thinking. It should have been pretty easy transition. Maybe it's because I'm recording. All right, and for here, we want to import our textures, okay? So we haven't imported them in yet. It may remember what I've done in the past. Let's see, go to textures. All right, so we don't see anything yet. So we're gonna go ahead and import those textures that we just did in Photoshop. So we're gonna go File, Import Resources, Add Resources, and we're gonna go Desktop and Decals, and we're gonna go Group, and Shift select them all. And I think that's correct for PC too. Shift select them all, and you can see them all coming in. So we do want to define these as texture. They're not alphas or anything else. Texture. Again, make sure they are PSD, not JPEG. If they're JPEG, that alpha channel won't come through. So these are all textures. I think you can shift select or select bottom, and they will all go, but I just do one at a time for good luck. Import. Go into textures 5, and then also we're going to go to my project dumpster 4, and we're going to go ahead and hit import, and you can see them pop into here. All right, so we have already added a paint layer right here. And you can see over here on our left that there's nothing here. We have our base color and so forth. So now we want to add our base color to this. So we're going to add our decal base, and we're going to click left, click and drag onto my base color. And you can see that. So here we want to make sure we are using our naming convention, because I did this before and got these mixed up, which will screw up your decal. All right, so we want decal height, and so we just drag that into here. And this is metal, so you could have easily just grabbed this and dragged that into roughness, and that will create some issues. So roughness is all white, remember? And again, I did this earlier, and I'm seasoned, and I screwed this up, so we're going to go to metal, and then our normal maps. And I think the reason why I knew it, because when I put in white for normal maps, I remember normal maps are always kind of this purple. So dump that into normal, and you're good to go. And the reason why we do all these different layers is when we put this in here, we want to put our decal on here, but we don't want that rust to punch through, or that texture. We want that sticker to be its own accord, or its own surface, because if you put down a sticker, it doesn't take on the properties of what's underneath it, right? Especially bumper stickers and stuff like that. All right, so enough of me talking. So let's just get right to it. So we're going to go to our projection mode, which is over here on the left. There may be a hotkey. It's supposed to be X, and that was not working earlier. So we're going to go to projection mode, and I think I've screwed that up. So projection mode, we're going to go back down here and rinse and repeat. Sorry about that. Base color, and again, make sure you're getting into the right ones. This is metal. Make sure it goes to metal, not to roughness, and roughness to here, and normal to here. All right, so I had you putting that into the wrong place. All right, so you can see our stencil is up here, and remember S, you can size this down to fit on here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use my holding down S and using my middle mouse, get our first decal into place. Okay. Now I've been having a little bit issues with my brush. You can select different ones if you want, and basically I've been going full throttle on this. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint this. Okay, and when you do this, you also want to look at your properties, texture set properties. If you don't see them, just go ahead and pull it up. And unfortunately, I did this as 2048, but go ahead and go up to 4K 496. This will give you a better resolution. And we're going to go ahead and do the My Little Pony too. I'm going to just kind of shift select that. And I'm sure this My Little Pony is a little bit smaller. You can give a little bit angle if you want. And I'm just going to scale this down. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint that. All right, so I'm going to get out of projection mode and see my beautiful craftsmanship of My Little Pony. All right, so My Little Pony is pretty sharp from afar, but as you get closer, not so sharp. And that could be from just grabbing that off the internet, probably not the best resolution. And again, I didn't have this on 4K, so make sure you have it on 4K before you do that. I screwed that up. All right, so we're going to kind of look at our what we've done so far. Pretty simple. We can add some danger signs over here really quickly, and I forgot what else I had for the stencil. So add hundreds and hundreds of stencils, or not stencils, decals. And one of the things, one other thing that you need to be aware of, so we're going to hit this layer, And you'll see we have a height map information and roughness, and that's what we brought in earlier in metal and normal. So if we go up here, if we had a whole bunch of rust on here, it should start to protrude here. And if it is, you just want to go through all these layers on this layer and go to base color and make sure that it's on normal height. And instead of that, we want to make sure that is on normal and roughness, and make that is on normal, metallic, and also I think normal. You want to make sure that is on normal too. All right, and what that does, that makes that surface sit flat, and you saw there was all kinds of other information on there. You want to make sure all those layers on here, on specifically this layer, not other ones, but this one, that is on normal and not multiply and all that stuff. And that'll make sense once you start adding these decals over bumps and ridges and whatever you have here, especially once you get over here where it's really bumpy. You want these to sit correctly. Now, stencils, you do want to show a little bit of bumpiness, because if we painted over this, it would be bumpy. All right, so I'm going to stop here. Hopefully that's enough information to keep you guys busy. Again, you're going to do all of your information or your decals and stencils onto here. I haven't shown you a stain. I will maybe show that later in the day. I just want to kind of get you guys acclimated to this process. Again, you will go ahead and start on the lid, add a texture to that, and where you see this little area, this could be an interesting place to do a decal. Maybe without color, it could be just imprint with the texture here. I think I've seen that. Again, go ahead and play around. There could be stickers on the lid, and this bar is going to be a separate material, and also your drain is going to be a separate rusty material. You may be able to acquire some of this information, but it's probably going to be its own thing. Go back and look at the pictures and see what that is. It could have some blue in it, I'm not sure, or it could just be its own color. All right, I'm going to stop there, but you have enough here in all these tutorials to make a really beautiful, realistic dumpster, and I wish you the best of luck.